You're now listening to the Zod and Drea podcast.
Hey, what's up? This is Zod from the Zod and Drea podcast, and we're here in Tempe, Arizona, where there is a Planned Parenthood protest going on. There are some people for Planned Parenthood and others who are against it. So we're going to talk to some of the people about this, Roe v. Wade, and some other decisions that are being made in the government and find out what their opinions are. All right, let's see what happens. Hello, could you introduce yourselves?
I'm Janine.
I'm Mary.
Matthew.
All right, and I just wanted to ask, why are you guys here today, and what are you protesting for or against?
We are not protesting. We're supporting President Trump's defunding of Planned Parenthood. And because abortion is wrong, it is murder. And it's not a woman's body, it is a baby's body. And a baby's body is different than the woman's body, even though it's being given life by a woman's body. It is still a different body and a different soul from the moment of conception. Your body does not belong to you, it belongs to God, who is your creator, who tells you what to do because he created you and he has that right.
Hi, my name is Sarah. I'm actually just here because I want to support women and men receiving health care. I want to support the United States continuing to help support men and women's health care and women's choice. I'm also here because I want to be open as a person who is of the Christian faith and also supports women and supports women's choice. And I think it's important to show that it's not a Christian belief that we're going to force women to do the things that we think they should do.
I'll go ahead. Yeah. Hey, my name's Amber. We're out here every Saturday. We're defending women's right to choose. We're defending affordable health care for everybody, not just rich white people with insurance. And until they stop protesting Planned Parenthood, we're not going to stop.
So do you consider babies to be straight up from the point of conception as soon as the egg is fertilized from that point? Or do you think it's a baby, now would that be considered a fetus, or is that also an actual baby, a full-grown human?
A baby, the word fetus is Latin. It means little one. When a woman gets pregnant, she does not get pregnant with a pig or a cow. She doesn't have to worry about giving birth to a little kitty cat or a dog. She's giving birth to another human being. So that baby, at the moment of conception, life is human. That's a human being. She's not pregnant with a dog or a cat or a pig. It's a baby.
Now, the thing is, Roe v. Wade is legal. It is a legal amendment, and, you know, people are still trying to fight against it, saying that legality-wise, this is also a moral issue, and it should be completely stripped of the Constitution and taken completely away. What are your thoughts on that?
Hi, my name's BC, and the thing is it's a morality issue only for the standpoint of if you're choosing to have one. Your morality versus my morality is totally different. So Roe versus Wade is in place to actually protect morality issues. It doesn't force anyone to have an abortion. It doesn't force anyone to support somebody having an abortion. What it does is it supports my legal choice and my moral and ethical choice to be able to make my own private medical decisions without the courts saying you can be penalized for this or punished for the fact of that you made a private decision with your doctor.
So what would be your message to somebody who is an atheist or has a whole different belief, instead of your God in what you believe in, that they have a whole different belief system? They've grown up a whole different way. So what would be your advice or your recommendation to them regarding the topic of abortion?
Okay, so someone who's an atheist still believes in human rights, right? Okay, well, an unborn child has rights. You know, straight and simple. That's justice. That's called justice. if there's been many women who have been murdered when they're pregnant, and the person who murdered them was charged with 2 murders because they considered the unborn child a murder too. The Justice Department of the United States has done that. So that means that they recognize that as a human life. So why is it across the board?
Well, that usually, I think, happens after a certain period of time of gestation before they wind up charging the person with a double murder. And then that would be beyond the point of abortion, which is 4 weeks or whatever it is, or 12 weeks. I'm sorry, 12 weeks.
Murder in the womb. That's what abortion is murder in the womb. No matter what stage in life it is, no matter if it's half a day, an hour, or right before they're about to be born, like Hillary Clinton said at the last debate, that it's okay to kill the baby right before it comes out of the womb. It's like, no. Okay, from the second it's conceived till right before it's born, it doesn't matter what time in there. It's still a life. It's still abortion. It's murder, no matter what time it is, because it's a soul and it's a body. Even though the mother's body nurtures, it's still not her body. It's the baby's body. It's the baby's soul.
Now, it seems that if we stop the funding of Planned Parenthood, there are going to be a lot of deaths, such as happened back in like the 60s, 50s, and early, with the hangers, people getting infections and doing back alley abortions. Do you find that that is a consequence of what can happen if the defunding of Planned Parenthood, which I hear is only 3% of abortions of their services, will happen?
Absolutely, that's my fear. I have 2 friends that were repeatedly raped as young women, and one of them had to have an abortion when she was 14 years old. I don't want to see the safe abortions in the United States go away, because women are not going to stop having them. They're just going to stop having safe medical abortions. So I'm hoping to impact legislation here in the state of Arizona as well. Right now, there's legislation that is also prohibiting doctors from providing those services. They're putting every roadblock they possibly can to impede the access to that health care that is legal to this day, but they're doing everything to impinge upon that right. And so we're hoping to impact legislation and tell our state legislators that we want this, we need this, and we won't stop fighting for this.
Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou.
Is a really good point in the fact that it's a private decision. No one has to know what you're doing unless they stick your nose in it. So do you find that people who stick their nose in it are just completely crossing the line into your business, and that they want to have the government do the same thing and regulate you for them?
Absolutely. I think it is ridiculous that the same politicians that don't want to regulate clean air or clean water and don't, want the smallest government possible, and then when it comes to the most intimate decisions that people make, they want to regulate the crap out of it. And that is absolutely ridiculous. They are happy to remove regulations on the environment, on things, workplace regulations, on what you pay people. They don't want to regulate anything until it comes to my uterus. And that is hypocrisy at its finest. It is just wrong. To take away someone's bodily autonomy is fundamentally wrong. And as far as morality goes, keeping it legal doesn't force anyone to have it. If someone is morally opposed to it, this is a procedure they never have to have. But that is for them to choose, and it should be everybody's choice for what's right for them and their family.
This whole thing is about Trump's defunding of Planned Parenthood in America, and we're supporting that. This isn't a pro-life protest. This is a support of the defunding of Planned Parenthood.
And so once defunded, let's say it's defunded. I forgot what the number of abortions that are a year. I think 300,000. It's a big number. There would be that many more Americans in the United States, thus draining a lot of more resources. I mean, if this happened, there would probably be a lot more women's deaths also going back to the hanger method that was used back in the 50s, 60s, and they shouldn't, but they'll still, it's like it was bad then and it'll be bad then. Do you care about the lives of them versus the fetus, or do you?
Okay, I care about the lives of everybody, and I care about God's laws, and I care about justice. But we're talking about abortion, which is injustice and murder of someone who's never even had the opportunity to breathe, okay? Or to make any choice whatsoever in their life, okay? So, I mean, there's not really a comparison to those who suffer and are punished when they're alive, when they commit sin, when they commit crime. It's the same thing, sin, crime. But when a baby isn't even born, it's not even formed yet, and you kill it, it's like a computer program, like when you're putting it in the thing and it's charging up, you know, but it hasn't gone yet, and then you abort it, and so you don't let the computer program go through, but it's still loading, right? For all the techies out there, you know, it's comparison. I mean, it's still there. It's still in the womb. It's forming.
Now, from what I've also understood, in a lot of, I guess, red states, but maybe even states all across the country, they've wound up defunding a lot of education towards sex, you know, sex education and things like that. I mean, things that really matter, and they try to promote a lot of religion and abstinence in its place. So, in other words, you're kind of on your own, but abortion should be taken away from women. What are your thoughts on that?
I can't believe that they block education. Education is freaking everything. And this is what's wrong with that side of it. You want to hide the education. You want to make it seem shameful. Sex is not shameful. Abortion is not shameful, and it's not a dirty word. And it's just insane to block education, to block birth control, to block abortion, and then those same people, I don't know, I'm sorry. I don't know where I was going with that, but I'm incensed about it. And you know what's, I also want to make a point. We're not scared. They can defund Planned Parenthood. We can put our money where our mouth is too. They can defund Planned Parenthood. They can take away our rights. We gonna find a way. So I'm not scared because we're gonna band together.
On that same issue, coming from the field of education and having a background in education, we're not opposed to, as a group, we are not opposed to sex education, including abstinence programs. We love that. It's a choice a person makes, and what we care about is choice. Yep. So whether or not a person chooses to abstain from a sexual relationship, fantastic. Whether or not they choose to have a safe, healthy, or alternative relationship or sexual relationship, that's fantastic too. Whether or not they choose to have a really alternative relationship, great. It's among them and their consensual partners. Mind you, it's all a matter of self-empowerment, self-awareness, self-education, self-choice. That's all it boils down to. We're not trying to strip them of their right to choose to abstain from having a healthy sexual relationship. We don't want to take that away at all. All we want to do is make sure that all choice is included at all times, not just some choice because it's morally comfier than allowing the fact that you might have to stretch your horizons and broaden your mind just the teeniest bit to make sure you don't trample on anyone else's choice.
If I talked about pro-life, and so we'll get more political. If we talked about pro-life, after the baby's born, a lot of people who are fighting for the pro-life advocacy, especially in Congress or whatever, they deny a lot of mothers' rights. They deny prenatal care, mothers off of work. So would you say that the goal is just to get the baby born, and then after that you're up to yourself? Because even a lot of them are proponents of the death penalty. So it's almost like get to life, but then after that you're on your own. Do you believe in that?
Innocent life is murder. Those sitting on death row, they're grown. They've got to.
But that's still murder, though, isn't it?
No, because that's justice.
That's a little different, though.
From the authority of the government in justice.
But then so does Roe versus Wade, which means that abortion is legal then. So if the killing of somebody on death row is man's way of justice, and then abortion is also the law as well, so then wouldn't they be equal?
But no, not at all.
Why?
The unborn baby hasn't committed any crime. It hasn't had a choice. The unborn baby, where's their choice? If you're pro-choice, Why don't you give your baby a choice? You know, that doesn't even make any sense. All this murder is insanity. You know, and
But if it's not considered murder under the law, then is it murder?
but it's murder under God's law, and God's law comes first.
But then if someone's an atheist,
The fifth commandment is thou shalt not kill.
but in Islam, it's not a fifth commandment, so they would have to see something different, wouldn't they?
I guess. I'm a traditional Catholic, so.
I'm sorry, do you find the term pro-life, I should say, to be deceptive in the fact that once the baby is born, a lot of women's maternity care hasn't been funded. They have to go back to work after a couple of weeks instead of bonding with the child. I had mentioned before the death penalty. All right, ladies, we're over here at the Planned Parenthood. I guess you're the support system for Planned Parenthood. And we want to know, what are you here for, and what's your purpose today?
Are we allowed to curse on this? Okay. Pro-life is bullshit. They are pro-birth, and then that baby's fucked. They don't want to make sure it has insurance. They don't want to make sure that the mother has a way of having access to affordable daycare so that she can work and provide for that child. These are the same people that cut funding to school lunch programs. It is get born and then get fucked. Go out, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, and get a job. So pro-life is bullshit.
Of thy womb, Jesus, Holy Mary, Mother of God.
Public school funding as well for their voucher programs so that they can send their children to Christian schools and defund those public education programs and schools that maybe, a mother who doesn't have as much money might send their child to that school. So it's all the same group, and it's abhorrent to me.
It's absolutely a terrible situation where a lot of the groups that we come out week after week, we're here every Saturday. The same people, we see the same people on the opposite side of the morality fence or the political aisle, depending on how you want to look at it. We see the same ones every week, and they say the same thing. We're all about choice, that we want to offer people choices. But the thing is when they talk about being pro-life, they're absolutely talking about being pro-birth. They offer these services. We've talked to them. We're like, that's great. Maybe we can find some common ground, that you have adoption services. You have supposedly doctors that'll provide free maternal and post-maternal care. You have housing services, whatever it is that you're offering. We're willing to work with you. We're willing to find some sort of common ground. But these people don't ask for common ground. They want blind obedience to their side or our side. They think it's all a matter of these strict black and whites and that these lines can be drawn. All we care about is that there's a lot of gray in the world, and we're trying to make sure that everybody covers. Nobody should be narrowed down to the only choice they can make is because there's only one option presented.
So, I come from a public health perspective, and education and contraception are the only things that reduce the abortion rate. And until we fund and accept health education in Arizona and in the rest of the country, we will never be able to impact the abortion rate. I'm also here as a grandmother. I have 2 grandsons, and this is a civil rights issue, and I will fight for it. So, good job. Thank you.
Pray for us sinners.
There's also a certain amount of, okay, I need to have these conversations, these valuable, valid conversations, that either we can go back to our community and say, well,
especially the refugees and the people living in Mexico who are being affected by this wall, that we are here and we are your voice here in Arizona, Tempe, Arizona.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Zod.
And I'm Drea.
And we want you to check out the Zod and Drea podcast every Tuesday.
Where can everybody find us at?
You can always check us out on www.zodanddrea.com.
Where else?
You can always check us out also on Facebook at Zod and Drea.
Instagram?
Zod and Drea.
Snapchat?
Zod and Drea.
YouTube?
Zod and Drea.
I see a pattern.
So if you haven't caught that, catch us at Zod and Drea on all the social networks. But also make sure you subscribe to the Zod and Drea podcast. Where?
At zodanddrea.com.
And also on YouTube and iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, and iHeartRadio. We're coming for you.
Let us know what you think, and if you want to be a guest, reach out to us.
and put all of your input into whatever our topics are for the week. So we hope to check you out and see you there.